Wintry, isn't it?
Yeah, and the wind is a bit chilly right now.
And what you can really use in winter is actually an all-wheel drive, right?
Yes, we do have something.
And that's precisely why I'm thrilled that we have the brand new VW ID.7 Tourer available for you. Instead of having rear-wheel drive, it comes as a GTX. GTX refers to an all-wheel drive system featuring a powerful engine with 340 horsepower. And GTX, of course, also stands for extreme sportiness. Does that fit with winter? I'm not sure, but we will definitely find out how it performs on wintry road conditions today with you in a classic review featuring a test drive. In a few days, we'll follow up with the consumption test, including the charging check, and then in a third video, we'll take him on a road trip of about 1,000 kilometers to gather some long-term experiences with the ID.7 GTX Tourer. I'd say you should check the ticket for the videos, which is actually your subscription with us. At One Velectro, it's free for you, but it significantly supports us immensely in our work efforts. We would be delighted to welcome you to our community in the future. Let's kick things off with the all-new VW ID.7 GTX Tourer. As we always do, we begin with an overview from the outside, starting at the front. Have a look at the front of the GTX, where GTX signifies the pinnacle of sportiness and performance within the Volkswagen brand. And you can also see that in the modified front section here. That means we feature an elegant honeycomb structure here. Additionally, we have separated daytime running lights in the distinctive GTX style line. Look, Stefan, here it is, but we are also kind of forgoing the air curtains that direct the air around the bodywork. Volkswagen solved this technically in a different way. The ID.7 series always comes with LED headlights on board. Here we even have the IQ light system. These are matrix LED headlights after all. What I find particularly appealing is this nearly continuous light strip feature. And check this out, the Volkswagen logo is now finally illuminated, adding a modern, stylish touch. And I have to tell you, that right there is undoubtedly an exceptionally over-the-top extra style element. Especially in this King Red, which was also chosen as the presentation color. Combined with the snow and the glossy black roof, it truly looks absolutely fantastic and really stands out impressively, wouldn't you agree?
I like this two-tone look.
Consider whether the GTX fits your budget or not. It's approximately 8,000 to 9,000 euros more than the base model with rear-wheel drive, but it does come with a range of benefits and features across different aspects that might interest you. Some nice perks and the single-wheel drive, which I find just insane. And where Volkswagen has finally done a remarkable job, not only with the winter tires, these are of course reliable Continental winter tires, but also in terms of the stylish wheel design. It's sealed since we want to be aerodynamically optimized, especially because the GTX promises an impressive range of up to 580 kilometers. You can always identify it by the lettering here, beautifully shining and glistening in glossy black. When you observe this design, you immediately recognize it's the top variant from the renowned brand Volkswagen. They've thoughtfully stamped and placed that emblem on the B-pillar too for easy recognition by all. When Stefan tilts the camera upwards a bit, you'll clearly see the sleek black glass roof. We'll definitely get to that later. You can see the matte black roof rails really well. You see the sleek black roof, essentially you see the matte black window trims, and you can also see the beautifully glossy black outside mirrors, all of this combined perfectly, and then again, when Stefan slightly lowers the sporty lines of the side skirts, it really shows, hey, this is the most performance-oriented and dynamic form. That's now available in an ID.7. Sometimes you simply have to indulge yourself, right?
Sure.
Because in that case, you receive maximum performance that is coupled with a truly unique and notably distinctive design. And that's always important for many, that they have their own unique look. And here too, it has nice flared fenders. The whole car as a result also looks very, very performance oriented. Tail light design, you know, is partly just mine. When the LEDs are off, it's all white and clear glass, which is modern and chic, but I personally prefer a bit of red. For me, tail lights are always classic red. And that's why VW, for example, has the Volkswagen logo illuminated in a nice red here. At the front, it was backlit in white, which I also find chic. Then we have the GTX lettering again, and then we have a distinctive rear section again with this warm texture with such a suggested diffuser optic also showcased a bit here. I find it all very, very chic. The only thing I don't find so fancy, of course, is that big fat fleet of sharks you've got up there, right?
All right, we're familiar with that by now.
Well, I would hope for VW and myself that someday it gets integrated into the windshield body and the side mirrors. Nice rear spoiler here. And if VW then... If you often watch our videos, you'll notice, especially the designers, how cool it would be if this little rear wiper would blend into the rear spoiler down here and then sweep broadly from below. Then it would have a completely different design line and, in my opinion, would appear significantly more appealing and visually captivating. I would love for you to share your thoughts in the comments about the VW ID.7 as a GTX. Even though it's -3 degrees Celsius, we're diving into discussing the car's dimensions. It's 4 meters 96 in length, almost reaching 5 meters, which makes it a spacious and notably large wagon. It's 1 meter 86 wide, and when you include the side mirrors, it totals an exterior width of about 2 meters 14. So in some construction sites on the left lane, things might become quite tight. At a height of 1 meter 53, I find it relatively flat for an electric station wagon. And the wheel, it's 2.97 meters across. Additionally, there are 2 different battery pack options available for the VW ID7. The standard, the Pro, has 82 kilowatt hours gross, 77 kilowatt hours net. And the Pro S, together with the GTX, consistently possess 91 kilowatt hours in total gross and 86 kilowatt hours net available for use. Therefore, with the GTX, we consistently have that large battery pack always included on board. It's charged back here through the port, which VW has cleverly designed with the flap that opens upwards. You're more flexible while charging with the cable, and you won't easily bump into the flap or cause any issues. We have 11 kilowatts 3-phase up here. That means in a good 8 to 9 hours, the car goes from completely empty to fully charged. And DC has the big battery again, an advantage over the supposedly slightly smaller battery. It can only charge at 175 kilowatt, the big one at 200 kilowatt, so from 10 to 80% in just 26 minutes. Whether it works and whether it also performs in winter, we'll definitely find out for you during the consumption drive with the charging check. The ID.7 in the standard version always has 210 kilowatts, 286 horsepower rear-wheel drive on the rear axle. And Volkswagen decided for the GTX, no, for such a sporty family station wagon, we quite clearly also really need to include a all-wheel drive, and in addition to the 210 kilowatts, 286 horsepower on the rear axle, it also has a motor on the front axle, which adds another 80 kilowatts or 116 horsepower, and in the system output, that merges into 250 kilowatts and 340 horsepower. With 605 Newton meters of torque. That's decent, right?
That should make good progress, yes.
Well, I think we can achieve quite a bit there. It's supposed to accelerate from 0 to 100 in a good 5.5 seconds. The only downside, and I don't understand it either, with such a sporty estate car, is that it's limited to 180 kilometers per hour. I think VW has by now realized it. With a model update, they might then offer at least 200 kilometers per hour. If I'm buying a GTX Tourer starting from 64,000 euros, I definitely want to be able to drive 200, don't you think?
Absolutely, sure.
Electromobility advocates are well aware that when considering efficiency, it isn't the best option for achieving maximum range. But that you're kind of taking away their maximum power, I find a bit unfortunate. Let's be real, when you're at 180 in the left lane and a 90 horsepower Golf 3 like I had comes up behind you, when they pass you at 190, you feel silly in your 340 horsepower electric car, right?
Absolutely, yes it is.
I was wrong, huh? It's 560 Newton meters, not 605. How did I get to 605?
No ideas.
What's with the Cupra? I really have no clue. With all these cars and numbers, forgive me if I mess up. And what Volkswagen did really well, by the way, is they installed an asynchronous motor in the front section and as an electric motor offering the benefit of full decoupling.
Oh, that's cool.
And thus primarily drives with the 210 kilowatt rear-wheel drive, ensuring the most efficient travel.
That's indeed a good solution.
Yeah, what's not such a nice solution is this little stick here. I also had that in my Golf 3 back in 1993. It was a nice car, and I do still miss it. I'd love to have it again. I would have liked to have some hood vents, given there's quite a bit of climate technology and various gadgets present, including the head-up display and so on. Plus the small electric motor, maybe some insulation would be suitable too. Whether it would be appropriate, we'll want to find out later during the driving report with the interior noises. What VW unfortunately doesn't have in the entire ID series is a frunk.
Shame, huh?
I wish Volkswagen would think about that too, at least to make a small tray for a Type 2 charging cable so you don't have to deal with it in snowy weather. If it's dirty and lying in the mud, it can get all mixed up with his luggage. Yes?
Not so great.
Let's take a listen to what a Volkswagen or underneath the hood of an M sounds like, alright?
3, 2, 1. Really tune in closely.
That's what I mean with the white, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything yet. Doesn't really fit, does it?
No, it doesn't look like that at all. It's just modern, you know? Like, for example, at Porsche, which also belongs to the VW group, you pay more for the tinted simple taillights than you do for the red ones. Okay, so there are, of course, design enthusiasts who totally celebrate this as hip and insane. That's purely a matter of taste. I'm more of a red type, but that might be because of the king red exterior color. Then kind of disappear a little. I know some of you say, yeah, why do I need a frang? What's all this nonsense and this and that and the other? And we're gonna find out in the trunk now. The trunk opens electrically, and what Volkswagen has done really well is here. You just press it down a bit. It's like a mechanism. You see this here? Look like this. And then you push it away just a bit for now so you can always reach it. For ladies or shorter people, it's interesting since they don't need to go in so deep. And then you can push it all the way back again. I genuinely believe that this mechanism is extremely well crafted. We have lovely hooks here to hang some bags. Then we have a little net here where we can stash a few things behind it. We also have another compartment here without a net where we can just put some stuff. But do I actually want to find a spot for my charging cable on the sides if my luggage is already completely full? So what's truly nice at the start is that everything is fully carpeted. Here's some more of that hard plastic. You're already aware of my opinion on it, which is that it's quite prone to scratching. And then we have a double load floor here where the Type 2 charging cable just fits in. If the heavy suitcase is on it and you want to charge on A10, then you take your luggage out to find the cable. And that's precisely why I'm such a good friend of Frank, and I definitely won't stop being a friend of his. Then we have another large compartment below where a bag or something else can fit. But overall, we have here it's already bulging a bit, right? Because of the cable. Yes. Through the cable. It doesn't fit perfectly down there. Altogether, we have over 600 liters of trunk volume, which is 70 liters more than the sedan. There is also a version available for the ID.7 GTX. If that sparks your interest and you prefer a fastback design with a large rear hatch, that would be your option. And if you say, well, the 600 liters aren't enough because you're planning a small move for your daughter and son studying in another city, then you can even take over 1,700 liters of luggage in the ID.7 GTX Tourer. So how that works, I'll show you first, especially important for the ski holiday. Oops! Pass-through is so you can easily stow the skis or those longer items through it safely. When you say you require more than 60% on the passenger side, it actually isn't functioning properly with the spring preload going through the center armrest. It beeps and chimes like an Asian. When it needs 60% first, there's a clear thud, spring pre-tensioned on the passenger side. If he says, man, isn't 60% enough, I need another 40%, it works with the driver's side, and I'll have over 1,700 liters of storage. Certainly, you can remove the parcel shelf, and then I really hope it manages to fit neatly underneath here, although it might become a bit of a tight squeeze. Where do we store the shelf? Likely in the footwell. Yes, somewhere we'll find space. Yeah, if you say, man, 1,700 liters still aren't enough for moving the daughter or the son, then let's start with what opens electrically. And then you have the option to attach a roof rack to the roof rails, where you can load up to 75 kilograms again, so to speak. It can be interesting too if 4 adults go on a ski trip with ski boots and skis to store them with a large ski box. Yeah, when he says, man, 1,700 liters inside, roof rack doesn't fit either. What do we do then?
Go trailer.
This is, of course, also optional with the ID.7 GTX, with a tow hitch that, on a 12% incline, unfortunately has towing capacity of 1.2 tons for brake trailers.
Well, you know me. I always say it's better to have this than not having anything at all.
In any case, it's better than nothing. That's definitely a fact, but The Kia EV6, being notably smaller than this model, is capable of towing a maximum of 1.8 tons in its recent version. Let's not even get started with the American supercar manufacturer, and let's avoid comparing it with other kinds of vehicles entirely. They generally do more, and I hope that VW, at the latest with the facelift, manages to make possible around 1.6, 1.8, or at best perhaps even 2 tons of towing capacity. What I don't quite like is the nose weight of the tow hitch. That's 75 kilograms. Pair of carriers plus 2 heavy pedally bikes is then genuine. And when you have kids, if you need another children's bike or maybe a third or even a fourth tricycle, it would be approximately 125 kilos, just nice. And you can somehow construct that too. I'm not a designer, but theoretically, why not aim for 150 kilos? In the end, you do everything for your customers, just like we do everything for our viewers by going from the outside in and taking a look inside. What's better in winter at -3 degrees than a little seat massage sitting in the Ergo Active with steering wheel heating, seat heating, and an interior temperature of 23 degrees?
Yeah, I'm standing out here freezing. Oh, look, thanks. I can still join in.
Absolutely, there's double glazing, which is crucial for keeping both the summer heat and the winter cold out, and also for ensuring indoor noise stays in. 2 discs connected with a film. And then Volkswagen, well, if we think about the initial series of the ID generation, really stepped on the gas with the ID.7, right? Well, first, everything is softly padded, right? This is also good for those who enjoy a bit of elbow action, right? If you rest your elbow there, then even on long trips, it doesn't press. Somewhat sensitive. Look, yeah. It seems that some press colleague or someone else has already managed to ditch something around here. It wasn't us. Yes, then we have this faux leather here, nicely finished with a red piping and the anthracite stitching. Then here, I initially thought this was a piano lacquer surface. No, that is the ambient lighting. Once again, in this King's Red, I find it really, really quite nice and stylish. Up here, I might let myself have a bit more, maybe a bit of piano finish down here as well. But VW, I'd recommend you think about a matte black. Sure, also a bit brushed. It's done nicely here on the EV6. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the new one, you hopefully watched the video. Alcantara here again in the interior lining. At VW, I think it's microfiber. Then here again, a type of faux leather with the implied stitching. And down here you have a high-quality plastic, which is hard in nature, if we're being honest about it. But inside, everything is beautifully lined with felt, except for the inner part right here. I would have wished for that as well, so that nothing rustles and nothing chatters here. So one can perhaps also, if it is desired, make it just a little bit more intensive than before. But when it comes to how a door opens, I'm honestly impressed with how stylishly you've managed that on the ID.7. Welcome to the dashboard section. We shall proceed in a chronological order. We offer a nice and large head-up display. Optionally, it comes with augmented reality features too, where arrows are dynamically flying around to visually guide you in the right direction. That's super, super stylishly done. The dashboard on top is soft plastic, also nicely textured, looks very, very chic. Underneath, there's leather-like material again with the elegant and distinct red piping. In the center, we have the 15-inch infotainment display with a 16:9 ratio, which we're going to take a closer look at in detail soon. Up front for the driver, we have a small display that's very easy to read with the essential information, not overloaded with thousands of things. I think it's really well done because, especially in combination with the head-up display, it's completely sufficient and nicely integrated in my opinion. You have the option to adjust the height and distance of the steering wheel to suit your ergonomic needs comfortably. I think it's great. On the left, there's the turn signal lever with wiper settings, and on the right, the gear selector. Then there are the drive and brake driving modes. Brake essentially refers to strong energy recuperation. And I'd really hope, as noted in our driving report, that with future model updates we might get paddle shifters for even finer adjustments, perhaps control the recuperation in more detail. I also kind of missed that now over the several kilometers we've already traveled with the ID.7. Maybe a kind of recuperation that intelligently adapts to various factors such as the topography, navigation data, the vehicle in front, or even the road conditions, much like how Mercedes' electric intelligence system does, which subtly aids in semi-autonomous driving. Here you either release the gas pedal and then it recuperates significantly or just lightly. or you press the pedal to accelerate and follow the flow of traffic. But this other approach is genuinely ingenious. I can only recommend VW to implement this. Yes, the steering wheel is unique for the GTX, but with the red stitching here, with the red inlay, and then beautifully set off with glossy black here, with the GTX, a nice sporty steering wheel that's also nicely robust and strong. The only thing I personally don't like are these touch buttons with these slide controls here for adjusting the volume up and down and so on. You have to get very, very used to it. I think if you use the car regularly in everyday life, you'll hopefully get used to it. I would have truly been quite happy if we could have had some tactile buttons similar to those in the new Tiguan or Passat, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm a fan of that too.
By the way, he has a honk, doesn't he? If you miss chrome, there's chrome here. Why it's not in white, just like it appears on the outside, or maybe even red, is also somewhat...
She mostly says never change your running system.
Exactly. What we definitely have here in the GTX, depending on the equipment, are the Ergo Active seats, which are super comfortable. I'll show you again through the passenger door, and they also offer a really great massage program with different levels. I don't want to withhold this from you, as they also have seat air conditioning in summer, meaning ventilation, and in winter, this heating and smart function. So, maximal heating when you might feel a bit sweaty when getting into the ID.7 in summer, or maximal ventilation when it needs a good airing out. Naturally, this is available for both driver and passenger. We have a lovely new tile structure here with version 5.0 of the software, which is also really on which I find to be of very, very good quality and certainly at least on an equal level with other car manufacturers. I believe it's absolutely on par with Tesla. In fact, when you see how beautifully this entire design is executed, it really makes Tesla look quite cheap by comparison.
Yeah.
You know, it's like typing everything in Arial 12 on a typewriter, and then you click through while VW puts in real effort here, even with the slider. With a variety of features, naturally, you now have some enjoyable games available on board. I really have to praise VW for actually listening to you. And now let's get to a point where we need to stop with the ID.7 and speak generally. Dear friends of the American supercar development, before you start listing your thoughts in the comments of this video, take a moment to recall how the Tesla Model S made its way over to Germany back in 2014. Please remember how the software looked back then. I can still recall it, and there's no need to make fun of Volkswagen or other European manufacturers because even you have developed your software over the years in your American supercar. So allow others the same, and I have to defend them a bit here, even if I'm usually very neutral. You also have quick dial options, and you have, what I wanted to mention, you even have a home button. You have hi. Then the map display, where you can smoothly and efficiently zoom in and out, I find to be absolutely and completely fine. Like in terms of speed and resolution, how you're building up Berlin here, our federal capital, for example, that's all completely fine and good, isn't it?
Quite yes.
When using voice control, something we might choose to explore later, to input a route, you receive a clear overview that details the charging plan and other essential route details. PP. So that's everything. It's incredibly, incredibly well executed. We also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integrated here wirelessly, which is truly fantastic. That means you can also beautifully play your favorite music, of course. We will definitely try that out with you later on. In our test car, we have the Harman Kardon sound system that we want to try out. From that view, I think it's nicely done. Down here, sliders are lit. VW listened to your constructive criticism there as well and made changes. Hats off for that. The only thing I'm not a fan of, you might like it, you might also find it good, it works well by the way in the ID.7, are these air vents that you can adjust through the climate control menu. I'm still a fan of tactile analog sliders, but as I said before, it's a matter of taste. You decide what you like. Feel free to write in my comments whether you're into tactile sliders or if you're up for electronic controls. What's also good is the seat detection if no passenger seat is occupied. So it primarily heats the driver, conserving energy in the process, which in turn extends your driving range. I find the center console very well done. Very, very high quality here with a corresponding sliding element that is nicely soft sprung, opens beautifully wide, where we then have the inductive charging tray, where we have two USB-C ports available where the cup holder is located. But you can take it out if you want to have a larger compartment. So that's why you're here as well. Very, very flexible. You can close that up. It's also slightly rubberized so that everything doesn't slide back and forth. And then here we also have a really, really nice large compartment that goes deep down inside. Also, again, with an additional compartment you can have there for coins, nicely rubberized again. And you can only open it from one side if the driver is sitting here and his arm resting on it. So I believe that's all extremely, extremely well done. Yes, this frameless mirror looks incredibly chic and stylish. And then you have here, although I think it's optional, this enormous glass roof, where instead of having a conventional shade to close it off, there's actually a function that allows you to make it opaque like this. Check it out.
Well, with the gray sky today, it's not that impressive.
I would really like to try it out in the summer because I'm very sensitive to heat from the sun coming through a glass roof. I experienced it in the Tesla and also in the Audi e-tron GT. Neither had a sunshade. I had that sensation of a hot plate hovering above my head during the summer in July, August, and I found it really quite unpleasant. And I wonder if this milk position would entirely eliminate that issue. I would be interested in that, but like I said, I think it's good that we have the feature now, and if it works in the summer, when feel free to comment, then everything's fine.
Massaging ourselves again?
Well, lumbar activation is really great. It's one of the massage programs. And what I really like, by the way, is the ergonomics. Everything is where it needs to be. Everything is in place wherever you look. So Volkswagen knows logically through the many, many years of car manufacturing where everything belongs. And here, a nice center console belongs, which in an electric car can also be designed open with a nice rubber insert where you might put the lady's handbag, the little man bag. You can nicely place it during the ride or any other stuff. Well, this is all really very, very stylishly done, just like the seat. A nice ergo-active sport seat, as it should be, where you also have the seat or leg extension here. For tall people, where you have a nice big support here on the thighs, especially when you're going a bit faster with the 340 horsepower. Comfortable lumbar support, shoulder padding, integrated headrest which can be easily adjusted in height. I'm missing a bit of the comfort function here, but what I really, really like is the mix of materials. That means we have what I think is faux leather on the outside, nicely paired with the red piping and stitching, and then we have a microfiber fabric here. The Spaniard would say, such an Alcantara, perforated for the seat heating, for the seat ventilation, and so that you also have a nice seating climate. I think the highlight is the ISOFIX mount. Yes.
Apparently not good.
That means we have them on board 3 times, which means you can install 3 child seats with ISOFIX here. And yes, there are also some criticisms. That's basically the hard plastic, which I think is still very nicely grained here. The glove compartment is beautifully lined with felt inside, precisely as it should rightfully be. You see nicely this surface resembling piano lacquer with details and ambient lighting, and below another light strip. Looks really chic in the dark, by the way. But here on the side, I think the plastic doesn't look quite as high quality. That's a different kind of quality again, and I know it bothers some people. Someone even wrote to me saying they've been driving for 43 years and have never had any rattling. Alright, feel free to come to the Parkhotel in Neustrelitz, then we'll drive down Strelitzer Street past the Shell. And then I demonstrate how it rattles on the hard plastic here when you're driving alone in the car, because it's just hard plastic here. Well, if that doesn't concern you personally, then it's all good. I can just point out the possibility that it might rattle and that it often makes noise with my test subjects too. Not much else I can do. 1.85 meters, 99 kilos, and here, bam, open. The rear seat of the ID.7, and of course we are quite curious to see how one can enter easily and comfortably here. That's going very, very well.
It seems you have space.
Yeah, so I definitely have a fist's depth of space here, so the space situation was in the ID. Standard across all vehicles, including the ID3, ID4, ID5, and here in the ID.7 I find it very well provided. You can see the ambient lighting nicely, right?
Yes.
Nicely done back here. We have the center armrest, and that takes us to my Favorite topic, and unfortunately I think VW didn't do so well here, is this cup holder, because I would have to basically have my arms right next to my body. So it's nicely tied here on the soft padded center armrest. I essentially have to reach around in this particular manner here just to be able to get to my coffee or my water. When I'm back here, then I go this way around. I just find everything kind of uncool. I would have preferred the center armrest to be higher, as some do, and have a cup holder here. Or maybe a Pro could slide out, making everything much nicer if it was a smooth, seamless surface to rest your arm on. Don't you think so? You also want to indulge in a little bit of comfort in such an ID.7, right? Yeah, so maybe as an option for future upgrades. What's really cool, VW, is here. Look at the elevation. You've got these sporty seats from the front, also in the back. That's quite rare indeed. Check out this rise here. Hope it shows well on camera. That's just cool that when the driver really lets the 340 horsepower rip, you're nicely supported in the seat here. Just like in the lumbar area and here in the shoulder area, a nice soft headrest that can be adjusted in height accordingly. Child ISOFIX mount with nice synthetic leather in the middle again, as usually you don't travel with 3 people in the back, but it's possible. It's a 5-seater, so that's doable. Here's the buckle for that, and we also have the optional. There's a third climate zone back here. We also have heated seats back here. We have 2 USB-C ports back here, but I just can't seem to find any. 12-volt outlet. Look, I can fit my feet under the seat. That's totally fine. Everything is on the floor with carpet, elegantly done. So there's nothing to collect here. And what VW knows is that you need 4 grab handles in the car. And what does the ID.7 have?
4 handholds.
Exactly. So we have to give VW some praise, and where they deserve praise, look, first of all, side airbags back here, that's already important. For some, like Porsche, you pay around 400 euros extra for a Macan. So the back is unprotected like a Porsche. Well, we're with VW, not Porsche. But look here, all soft with this faux leather, and look.
He can lie comfortably on it without anything needed.
And it won't rattle or clatter for 43 years either, so sorry for harping on it again. But that's how it is. Back here, look, all done nicely with faux leather. A nice pocket back here that fits a large iPad. Up here, a small smartphone, or the card game I used to have with the car quartets. Does that still exist, a car deck?
There are, but I think they're more modern now. Is there an electric car deck?
That would be awesome, right? So, and then we have here again our wonderful, toughest, beautiful, how do you always say it so nicely?
Well, plastic, right?
Exactly, and the texture isn't quite as appealing as it really should be, like for instance here inside the door, but take a look, ID.7 rear door, analog front door, and also beautifully and wonderfully soft padded up here at the top. Then right here you have faux leather, piping, elegant piano lacquer, more faux leather, luxurious Alcantara, below a nice and quality plastic, and then again lined with soft felt. So it's progressing. I'm optimistic. And last but not least, look, at 1.85 meters, I also have a nice fist up here. Headroom, so even tall people, 4 adults, I think they can travel very well here. We've shown you everything outside. Inside, we showed you everything. I would say, let's hop into the ID.7 GTX Tourer. And now let's proceed to the driving report segment and evaluate how it performs on the road. We would like to test out the turning circle with you today. It's at 12.30 meters with the GTX, and this indicates that it's really quite a bit more generous and spacious compared to the Pro and Pro S variant are equipped exclusively with rear-wheel drive, resulting in a turning circle of 10.90 meters. This essentially means that we lose a small amount of turning radius because of the front electric motor, which contributes to the system. Nevertheless, I have to say, here's the ESP. It manages quite effectively, doesn't it? If you give it a bit of gas here, isn't that right?
Yes, on ice.
Does well, eh?
Looks funny, yeah.
Just as important as the turning circle is being able to park an ID.7 GTX Tourer well. Whether this can be done, we want to try out with you. For support, we even have the optional camera in our test subject here. That means it also supports us with the appropriate guidelines then. All at once. Just pulling into a parking spot like that, it should fit in any case. Otherwise, the insurance takes care of it, or how was it?
Ja, klar.
Well, we definitely prefer to pull it all in a straight line. And then we very neatly and carefully slot it into the gap properly and orderly. You also have the option to switch the camera back here to a 180-degree view. This could be useful for reversing out of a driveway with limited visibility, like with children, cyclists, or pedestrians. Perhaps even other road users just passing through. Yes, what you have here is something you can easily and manually adjust once more like this. Then there likely should be a full 360-degree view available somewhere, right? I don't even know if we still have it somewhere here, but you can definitely adjust everything very well here. You also have the convenient park assist feature, where you can search for available parking spaces by simply passes a street at a low speed and then finds the parking spots and parks independently. And another option you have is that you can store a parking situation. That means when you turn to this specific spot, the car will simply park itself in the very same space, just the way you had previously saved the parking process. I think that's a pretty cool feature. Why it doesn't switch to the front camera now, I have no idea either. Then I must have done something wrong. Because there should also be a front camera. Maybe he won't let us. Don't we have a 360-degree camera system? You have to watch that. It's a bit weird now. Want to ride over the cobblestones. Listen up. Here there's no rustling or clattering at all. This truly is a fantastic story. We have the optional DCC chassis installed here, which is adaptive for the dampers and handles that pothole very, very nicely and comfortably, which you probably recognize from almost every video of ours. Can then simply use it. Well, what's nice is, of course, also voice control system. You've even got ChatGPT integrated on board here. You can start up the feature by voice by simply saying, "Hello, Ida. What's Hamburg's population?"
I discovered that on Wikipedia. The city of Hamburg has around 1.8 million residents.
That's a great story. And of course, you can also say, "Hello, Ida. Take us to Munich to Viktualienmarkt 1.
All right, we're heading to Munich, Viktualienmarkt 1. Have a pleasant journey on the road.
And then the ID.7 GTX Tourer will strategically plan your charging stops accordingly throughout your journey. Over here on the side, you can see this. It's nicely detailed, indicating your standing time, your arrival charge level, and so on and so forth. I must say, it's truly well executed. Additionally, you've got the option to select a filter specifically for charging stations right here. So from that perspective, I believe it's actually a rather good progression of the entire system as a whole. Yes, we'd like to take you on a ride through our favorite route here. It's a lovely and winding country road. And let's check how the suspension system performs. It's really great that we have these winding roads here, which the suspension is able to handle with such impressive skill and smoothness. Set the DCC suspension to individual mode. I'll show you soon. Customize it to suit your specific needs. There's eco mode, comfort mode, and track mode, crucial for all-wheel drive in the mountains, that you always have the maximum traction provided by the all-wheel drive. And you have the individual mode available where you can then independently operate and control all of the systems one by one. And we have hardly any swaying motion here, hardly any tilting motion, even at high speeds. Left-right combination, even though we are indeed dealing with wintry road conditions here and experiencing a certain amount of slip, I must admit. He consistently stays securely in his lane thanks to precise steering, and importantly, he doesn't demonstrate the understeering that is usually common in many other vehicles. Because the ID.7 GTX Tourer has an empty weight of 2,339 kilograms, so with Stefan and me, we easily go over the 2.5 tons mark.
Yes, close.
It's pretty much hardly noticeable because VW naturally has a strong and deep expertise in chassis construction as well. I'll go over the customization options here in the individual mode for you once more. That essentially means you have the ability in the DCC to adjust it from extremely soft and comfortable to sporty, with an impressive amount of detail. You can customize the steering to be more direct, firmer, or softer depending on your preference. The same applies for the drive, the driving sound, and also the exterior settings, like your preferred distance control, whether you'd like to approach quickly or slow down smoothly, and in addition, the light assistant and air conditioning too. Everything in this setup is customizable, so they've really put a considerable amount of thought into how to achieve the color profile that you or I will find most appealing. You might very well encounter this on a rather bumpy road where there could be an especially sharp right turn just up ahead. And that's where a suspension system considering the weight of the ID7 really has to work hard and struggle a lot, and he truly does this remarkably well here. He stays firm but can easily shift into a comfort mode, making long drives quite enjoyable, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Indeed it is.
There are typically bumpy cars that jolt you from the left and right, really pushing uncomfortably into your lumbar area. And the ID7 absolutely doesn't do that. You can feel that VW has a really excellent suspension. Art has that they possess a specific know-how, and it's in this aspect that they very clearly and distinctly set themselves apart from their other competitors. Let's launch. 5.5 seconds, 560 Newton meters, 340 horsepower. We have winter tires, 255 rear, 235 front. Is Stefan ready for the launch?
3,
2, 1, go. He takes off rapidly, reaching a speed of 30, speeds up to 50, climbs steadily to 70, continues on to 80, progresses to 90, finally hitting 100. We then do a quick brake check, and it smoothly engages, decelerating well with precise control. Well, that's truly impressive, and Stefan is now taking a closer look at the values.
So we've got 0 to 60 in 2.95 seconds, 0 to 100 in 5.86, and 100 to 0 in 4.76.
And I have to praise Volkswagen here as well. We're familiar with this from Porsche. They manage on all road conditions. This road, is a Mecklenburg country road. It has nothing to do with confirming factory specifications. So it seemed everything suggested he'd be disappointed, right?
Certainly.
But he nailed it, and I must say, 0.3 GPS deviation is quite a decent value. So, and even when we're navigating through a swift winding section while in sport mode, then it feels pleasantly firm, yet it still manages to maintain a quite notable hint of comfort, and it doesn't jolt those road bumps sharply into your back. Saw that before, right?
Oh yes, it was awful here, yeah.
So I really have to say, Volkswagen is definitely a skilled and talented car manufacturer that truly understands the intricacies of how to effectively get the job done with expertise. In my opinion, the DCC suspension is truly essential in the price range of the ID7's model. And super smooth, particularly when you have it combined with the excellent ergo-active comfort seat offering exceptional support. We're taking another trip in the opposite direction, and yes, the car really manages to achieve a wonderful balance, skillfully blending the qualities of a comfortable cruiser on the one hand, while also embodying the characteristics of a sporty wagon on the other side. And it really has to, in my opinion, at 4.96 meters in vehicle length and this vehicle weight of almost 2.4 tons.
And in my opinion, the VW engineers have done a really good job with that.
Exactly. And that's perhaps what you are truly searching for, that you have a wolf in sheep's clothing, which on the one hand functions as a beautiful family car, but on the other hand reveals itself as a little sporty beast with some real muscle, and it can effectively handle those quick change of load reactions quite well. Therefore, I think the VW ID.7 GTX Tourer, especially with the DCC suspension in our test model, is very, very well equipped. The truth also includes that Volkswagen, with the first generation of the ID, models kind of took away a bit of the driving fun and power of electromobility from us. Yes.
Clear as crystal.
By delaying it in that way, it really seemed like you had the power somewhere, but they made sure not to let it show because they wanted you to accelerate smoothly and gradually. Yes. So, and they've tackled this in the ID7 base model, and even more significantly in the GTX version, because you can instantly feel the power engaging right here. So when I press this here, then you have punch, then it goes forward, and that's just awesome, because that's also what I expect from the GTX. Well, I don't expect the GTX to just, accelerate more. So relaxed with momentum, we want to hit bam on 100, not just gradually reach 100 and be truly high performing. We want to measure noise with you at 50 kilometers per hour. 57 decibels, that's a top value. For comparison, that's what a Mercedes S-Class has. We are driving 70 kilometers per hour. 55 bis 60 Dezibel. Der ID.3 lag ähnlich bei 50 Kilometern pro Stunde. Wir erhöhen auf 100 Stundenkilometer. (64-65 decibels), that's also a top value. For example, an ID.4 is around mid-70s. And VW really added a lot of insulation, double glazing and everything to the ID.7 again. The wheel arches have been specifically insulated to ensure that you can drive as smoothly and quietly as possible on the road. We've turned on the travel assist feature here in the VW ID.7 for you to test if it consistently maintains a nice position in the middle of the lane when driving on country roads. And this is a curve where many of our test participants have already struggled, although I had to be very careful to ensure that I didn't drift into oncoming traffic. Our system here includes capacitive control. Placing 3 fingers on the wheel clearly signals our attention. He's doing a great job of maintaining a proper, safe distance from the vehicle ahead, and now we're getting close to a section where the speed is about to change, where I presume he'll logically and naturally adjust the vehicle's speed as needed and accordingly. Now he's doing that too. He recognized 70 and essentially regulates the vehicle to 70 kilometers per hour. Hopefully, he'll soon notice the speed limits lifted, letting us drive at 100 kilometers per hour again. He has now recognized it, and he is accelerating smoothly back to 100 kilometers per hour as we speak. This is all an entirely smooth experience. We have another one coming up shortly. A stronger right-left combination is planned, where we wish to observe if he can master it just as well. So this is stage 2 on the country road again. It's a pity that the Berliner ahead is just driving eco-friendly at 70 or 80. Normally we take them at 100. And here, even at 70 kilometers per hour, it stays nicely in the middle of the lane. Better than we might sometimes be able to ourselves. And stay here as well. Now we have a slope from the road nicely in the middle. Also here it does well. The left turn already recognized 70 in advance, adjusted to 70. That's where the Berliner now obviously speeds up. He's scared in the curve, and where it's 70, he goes 80.
Yes, very good.
That's one way to solve it, and soon we'll stay here in this one take so you can really experience this travel assist. In a 50 zone, he's already recognized it since he has navigation data, topographic data, and thus he can also adjust his speed super efficiently. So for the moment, he's allowing it to roll freely because naturally, rolling is far more efficient with a weight of a good 2.3 tons than recuperating. And now he realized, now I need to recuperate too. And now we have the town sign, and look, now at the speedometer, we're driving 50 at the town sign. He's not some know-it-all or a smart aleck. He's just diligently following the traffic rules. I think that's genius.
Yeah, he really does it well.
Because I could actually fold my arms here, but of course I won't. I don't even want to demonstrate that here, and don't try this at home. But I just think it's great that we are already so far, even at Volkswagen in semi-autonomous assistance, and how well he does it in the city on country roads, and then, as we'll hopefully learn during the consumption test and charging check on the highway, gives me hope that we might really soon, in the distant future or even in the near future, be traveling autonomously. But at a level where we don't have to be afraid. Now it's recognized a clear path again, accelerating nicely and powerfully here. We're driving in the GTX. And accelerating to 100 again. That's almost as if I were driving myself, isn't it?
Correct.
Really brilliant. Harman Kardon audio speaker system. It's fairly subtle, with no intense kick bass or massive subwoofer to shake things, but that's not really the target audience, as this particular car isn't meant for teenagers or young people, but rather for the sporty, sophisticated gentleman or the dynamic young family man who can afford it comfortably. And of course, you want to be musically well engaged in that context too.
It's perfectly adequate for that purpose. Sounds really good. It doesn't overstep any limits at all.
Well, I enjoy it. Let's move on to ride comfort in the city and on country highways. We'll do a charging check during the consumption run and on our road trip later. But first, we have that initial impression, Stefan. So what's our tried and true and neutral medium, namely Stefan's seat of the pants meter, saying about the ride comfort in the ID.7 GTX Tourer?
I'm feeling extremely comfortable here. The seats provide nice supportive sides. These are the Ergo Actis seats, which you can also conveniently adjust to suit your preferred height. Yes, you can do that. It's truly amazing. You sit very comfortably here, with great supportive sides and excellent thigh support. It's definitely enjoyable, and in terms of the suspension, I find it very comfortable. Really quite nice overall. Also fantastic for going on touring trips with a fish cover.
I can only agree with that. I believe Volkswagen, with the DCC suspension in the ID.7, but also in all other vehicles, truly makes a mark with the DCC suspensions. And here too, with the significant weight and the electric platform, it has been, in my view, excellently and skillfully executed. The beauty of it really lies in the fact that I am able to experience this full range between maximum comfort for traveling, allowing me on long distances. You can also use a sporty car comfortably for long-distance traveling. I really think that Grand Tourer feeling comes through strongly. But then I also have the power and the necessary firmness to drive fast curves, maybe to drive switchbacks. Gross Glockner High Alpine Road. I'd really love to cruise along here with the family car sometime. And precisely because it's designed to be a bit rear-oriented, DCC off, and then sway that rear end around nicely, that could, I guess, be quite enjoyable, right? I believe with 340 horsepower and 560 Newton meters, you can give some high-powered ones at Grossloch a good run.
You definitely don't need to hide.
Remember when we pushed that Lamborghini Aventador up the hill with the BMW i4 M50? Well, electric mobility really does have quite a lot to offer. Let's proceed to the interim conclusion with the ID.7 GTX Tourer, and I am genuinely impressed. We've already introduced the ID.7 to you as a sedan and also as a Tourer in the Pro variant, and even there you could feel it even in the simplest base trim with the steel suspension. That VW has done quite a commendable job there, but now the GTX Tourer comes equipped with the DCC suspension. I feel the same about the interior with the tuning, the material mix, also with this King's Red and the red in the interior, with the piping. This is all really, really chic, very, very high quality. The seats with the synthetic leather and the microfiber fabric and the perforation are great too. The seat massage offers truly excellent programs, and it also features some wonderful balls or certain elements that function exceptionally well. This isn't just some pillow that inflates and deflates like we used to know. I really have to say VW has actually made quite a notable splash with the ID.7.
I think so too. As I said before, the engineers and designers truly came up with something. Really another step up from what we basically experienced with the first ID models.
In the GTX, I think they emphasize the sporty character. A, with the unique exterior design, and B, with the impressive power when you hit the electric pedal. Inside, the pedal stroke provides a joyful experience. To anyone considering an ID.7, I recommend checking out the GTX version if it fits your budget comfortably. And make sure to take it for a test drive yourself, because I truly believe that's when it will effectively convince you the most. We've now reached the conclusion of the first video with two more fascinating ones that are still yet to follow. On the one hand, then the consumption drive and the charging check with the VW ID.7 GTX, and then the third video, a few days later with the road trip where we want to experience roughly 1,000 kilometers. How an ID.7 GTX Tourer manages and performs on long-distance journeys during the winter season. That's why I recommend you check whether you are part of the Easy Electric community. We would really value your support by getting a free subscription. If you ring the bell, you'll get the notification when the second or third video online. We'll definitely see each other again. I sincerely thank you for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon. Your Ollie. You, Stefan. I think I would be like a GTX type, you know, like it says here, right? Well, I'm kind of like a bit fire and ice, fire and flame.
Slightly ticked off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A GTX, it's got something, right?
I do get it.